So we all know the UFC has their new gloves, right? So that like media coverage shit that we just saw John Jones do, they revealed at that media event that for UFC 309 and possibly 310, they're going to switch back to the old gloves just for these events. But more specifically, 309, they're switching back to the old gloves. And this news just came out, like for me, it's Wednesday, the 13th. This news just came out like a few hours ago. And there's no specific reason as to what happened, why it's happening, I should say. Someone asked John Jones about the old gloves, but they didn't ask why it's happening. They just asked if he used the new gloves, and he said, yes, I use them and they're uncomfortable and I dislike them. So we all know John Jones has a history of eye pokes. That's like what he's well known for. Not only is he known for eye pokes, but he's known as being kind of a little bit of a dirty fighter because he doesn't break the rules, but he pushes the boundaries as far as he possibly can. Some people hate that. Some people say it's fine. Some people love it and say, well, if he's not breaking the rules, it's fine. You know, like the oblique kicks. The oblique kicks and the eye pokes were the biggest thing that Rampage Jackson harps on with John Jones all the time. Because he obviously fought him. And he said, Rampage always claims, he's like, I was in the best condition I was ever in my entire life. I was so confident, which mind you is a bad thing going into fights sometimes, but the amount of eye pokes and oblique kicks that Rampage took against John Jones was astronomical, and it really hinders a guy. When you get poked in the eye over and over again and the ref does nothing about it, but I think at that time it wasn't as you didn't get, I don't think you got any sort of penalty back then like you do nowadays. I think nowadays you for sure get a point deducted. I think. I'm pretty sure that's what Herb Dean said in that interview I saw. But either way, it is like something to consider nowadays. But the whole reason they made the new gloves is so that it would prevent these eye pokes, amongst other things. But when John Jones was asked this question in this media day interview, he said he hated how it curved the fingers. He hated the feel of it. And it's just weird that we all know the UFC caters to John Jones, and some would say rightly so because of his position. We all know Dana White is in love with John Jones. So it's like, you got to speculate, like, did John Jones try the new gloves and decide, like, I don't really like these, so we're not using them? So everyone on this card is going back to the old gloves. And when he was talking about it in the media interview, he said he got a call from Hunter. What's his name? Whatever. The Hunter guy. Hunter Campbell? Is that his name? Dana White's fucking right-hand man. He got a call from him. And he basically said, like, oh, because everyone is a veteran on this card, they're going to go back to the old gloves because that's what they're used to. What? What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. What's the point? Why did you bring the new gloves in to begin with? You brought the new gloves in because you thought the old gloves were ineffective. But now all of a sudden, because the veterans are used to the old gloves, you're going to bring them back and potentially have more eye pokes? Now, I'm not saying the new gloves prevent eye pokes more than the old ones, or that they're even better, but it's just weird that they went to all this effort to make these new gloves, and now all of a sudden they're backing out on the same card that John Jones is on, and they announce it like 4 days before the fight is supposed to happen. it just makes you think like they're just trying to push the boundaries however they can, little by little, to try to push things in Jon Jones' favor. Because it's like they know if he uses the new gloves, the chances of him actually performing an eye poke are not as high. Now, mind you, I shouldn't say this like it's wrong to think this way. And this is just a conspiracy theory. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with this, but this is kind of what the internet is rolling out. They're saying like they're giving Jones every little chance that he can to win. This isn't the first time that they've catered to Jon Jones either. Back in the day when he was caught with performance-enhancing drugs, they canceled the fight and pushed it ahead just so that he could, get off the drugs and continue to fight. Whereas any other fighter, if that happened, they would just be fired immediately. But, we also don't know if, maybe this has nothing to do with Jon Jones. The gloves, I'm talking. Maybe they've just tried the gloves and realized they're actually not that great. And so they're gonna go back to the old gloves and see how that works. And if they like the old gloves, maybe they'll just continue to stick with the old gloves because they realize the new ones are not that great. There was actually someone put up a chart of the KO rates ever since the new gloves were introduced. Like the amount of knockouts has significantly reduced substantially over almost every weight class. Significantly. So maybe that's just the UFC thinking okay, maybe these gloves are actually pretty trash and we're going to go back to the old ones for now, see how it works. But I don't know. But then also in the media coverage, you see they're taking pictures of Stipe, and he's got the gold gloves. He's got the new gloves on. So it's like, okay, are they using them or not? As it stands right now, they're not using the new gloves. So, and we still don't have a reason. We should look up right now. Let's see if there's any information on the gloves right now. He got a call from Hunter Campbell saying that the gloves are back for 309. What does this guy have to say? I don't know who this guy is, but the data behind the UFC's decision to switch back to the old gloves. I don't know this guy. I don't know if he's credible, but let's just see.
I cannot believe my eyes. The UFC listened to all the complaints and we're finally getting the change. This Saturday at UFC 309, the new UFC gloves will not be used. They're going to go back to the old gloves that they used years prior. I've been a massive spokesperson as to how the new UFC gloves have limited the amount of knockouts compared to the old UFC gloves. Made that post on October 10th. It got over 15,000 likes. I continued to track the data and it only got worse. UFC fights are going to decision at over 60%. The knockout rate with the new gloves is less than 24%. It hasn't been lower than 31% over the last 3 years. And the non-believers were saying, oh, the weight classes. I filled in the data to check out these weight classes, and what we saw was an increase in decision rate for every weight class except women's flyweight and men's featherweight, and a decrease in KO rate in every weight class except for middleweight. Seems like the UFC caught up to this and they're going to make a change for the big pay-per-view this Saturday. Is that because they want Jon Jones to be poking eyes out there? I don't know, but I gotta believe my data helped them make a decision.
See, so that's the other point. It's like, okay, maybe whenever there's a change, and especially with the UFC, but this goes for anything, whenever there's a change, it's not like everything is revealed immediately. Especially with a big corporation like this. It starts with the rumor, and then it's confirmed that it's actually changed, and then you gotta wait for the information to slowly trickle out. So we might not even hear any updates about the gloves from now until the fight. But for sure, during the post-fight interview with Dana White, at least at that point, someone's going to bring it up. So we'll find out at least by then. So there's a lot coming up. There's a lot going on. I didn't even want to talk about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson because I don't really give a fuck about that. But like I said, I'm going to watch it. But so we'll see. So yeah, of course, like the glove thing, people are going to come up with conspiracy theories. It doesn't matter what the change is. But especially, it's just weird though, you know? Like, John Jones is finally coming back. He's known for his eye pokes. The new gloves prevent the eye pokes. UFC wants to cater to John Jones astronomically if he doesn't like the gloves, and if he thinks that they might give him a disadvantage, then they'll get rid of him. So, of course, you can see where that connection could be made, but you can't. It's not good to assume that that's what they're doing, because that would be very wrong and very disingenuous. So, but who knows? Look at this. This is John trying on the black gloves here. Is that what this is? The old gloves. Whoops.
That's strong, dude.
You wrap under there.
Yeah, I think we're going with the 3X.
Let's go. Yeah.
Hey, let's try the other 3. You know that's you're actually going to see.
Did you hear that? He said, I think we're going with
Brandon
this.
said you guys can work on that and they'll give them to you in some time.
Sword and our shield.
So I don't know. Yeah. Maybe he did it. It wouldn't be surprising if he did influence, this decision. Proof Dana would do anything for him. What? Anyway. Can't just read comments here. So yeah, we'll find out. Oh, wait, Ariel. UFC has informed the fighters competing on Saturday's 309 card that they will be using the old gloves, not the blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Nothing new. So yeah, we'll find out. We don't know if the old gloves are going to make a comeback and stay, or if it's just for this fight. And Ariel did say it would be in 310 as well. So the fact that they said it's going to be in 309 and 310 makes me think that they're just going to come back for good. Because if they said it was just 309, then it's like super fishy, But maybe it is just 309, and they're saying it's also going to be in 3010 just so that we don't think it's fishy. Huh? I don't know.
Watch this full episode of the Dynamite Gizmo podcast by clicking the link in bio.